Back now to our breaking news in Waterbury.
Tom Lewis is live at the scene with the latest. Tom?
So, Stephanie, we got on the scene about 10 minutes ago here. We're just starting to figure things out, as are the police here in Waterbury. I want to show you what we're looking at here so far on this crime scene that has been taped off on Angel Drive. Now, behind the bushes you're looking at, there are a couple of crime scene unit investigators. They've been focusing on the steps at 56 Angel Drive. Now, initial reports are that there was a shooting somewhere either inside that condo, that apartment, or outside on the steps. Right now, those investigators are looking at some type of physical evidence, not only on the steps you're looking at, but on the adjacent apartment as well. We do not yet know if this is a homicide or how many people were shot, when this all happened. This is a fluid situation. Waterbury police have closed down this very, very small street here in Waterbury, but they're very intense at this hour in gathering that physical evidence. They're trying to figure out themselves who is involved in this crime, but for right now, they do have those units on the scene trying to gather what they can. We will do the very same here for the rest of the morning. We'll try to figure out what happened, what we can learn from the police here in Waterbury. But for right now, an active crime scene on Angel Drive in Waterbury. We'll get back with more information as it becomes available. For now, live on the scene, Tom Lewis, NBC 30 News. Back to you guys.
NBC 30's Tom Lewis is live in Colchester this morning with the latest. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Lauren. Boy, it sure felt like a tornado. I'm holding up a piece of tree, a branch that was severed off. It's not so much that this branch was broken off. It looks as if the bark was actually shaved off. That's how strong the winds were here in Colchester. Now I'll chuck this and I'll walk back a little bit further here. This will give you another dramatic look at the damage that was done. This is a massive tree that was literally torn from its roots. It's laying here, part of the cleanup that needs to be done. As the sun rises on this Friday morning, the damage done by the storm is clearly visible.
We begin with breaking news this morning in Hartford.
Police are on the scene of the fatal crash overnight. NBC 30's Tom Lewis is live there at the scene in the North End with more. Tom, good morning.
Brad, good morning to you. Good morning, everybody. Utility crews are on the scene here on Garden Street, the scene of a double fatal accident. Police are not releasing the names of the victims. This is what we do know. It was around 2:45 when the car heading down Garden Street clipped a utility pole and then slammed into a tree. Again, the ME's office is awaiting the arrival here of some of their people to come down and exhume these bodies out of that car. Again, 2 hours ago, the car slamming into a tree, the occupants inside meeting a fiery demise. The mangled and torched Chrysler slammed into a tree at a high rate of speed, killing both the occupants inside. A late-night crash happened on Garden Street near Ashley, the car clipping a utility pole before smashing into the tree right in front of a daycare center. Garden remained closed off between Collins and Ashley Streets as accident reconstruction teams investigated the circumstances of the double fatal. The names and ages of the victims have not been released, but sources at the scene are saying the crash was not the result of a police pursuit. Two passers-by spotted the flaming car, but it was too late to save those inside. The medical examiner is expected on site as the investigation continues. Also on site, utility crews. There was some concern early on when we arrived on the scene that some of the wires could be live. So indeed, the utility crews, some of the cable crews, the phone crews are here to try to reconnect what they can, do what they can. But again, police are guarding this scene at Garden and Ashley very closely. The car remains behind me here, a mangled mess into that tree. Again, 2 people killed in an overnight crash. Reporting live in Hartford this morning, Tom Lewis, NBC 30 News. Yvonne, back to you. Mid-morning here in Northford, and flames are still seen inside the rubble of what used to be the Northford store. The fire broke out late last night, totally destroying the structure that stood for nearly 100 years. Up in smoke and burned to the ground, the Northford store is a pile of memories after fire ravages the century-old building. Called out at 8:30 last night, firefighters encountered a fully involved blaze.
There was heavy fire and smoke throughout the 3-story attached wood frame structure. An immediate call for mutual aid was dispatched. North Haven sent an aerial. We had 2 aerials in operation on a defensive attack.
Alicia Angiolo works at an adjacent restaurant. Last night, she did see the collapse of the Northford landmark.
The roof on the store collapsed, and that was pretty big. I'd never seen that before.
A box of wild rice, one of the few recognizable items left behind. Instead of smoked turkey, it's smoked timber on the grounds of what used to be the centerpiece of Northford. Gawkers and picture takers getting one last look.
It was a great place. There used to be a pot-bellied stove in the center of the first floor that used to heat the store, and people would gather around it and play checkers.
No one was inside and no injuries were reported. The job now does turn to finding out a cause.
The state fire marshal and local fire marshal's office begins their investigation this morning. They'll look at all the possibilities. Right now, based upon what you see, the fire is undetermined.
The daylight hours are giving a better look at just exactly what happened late last night. As for exactly what started the fire, well, the fire marshal is on scene working with the state to try to determine a cause. Reporting in Northford, Tom Lewis, NBC 30 News. It was around 2 o'clock this morning that the victim was sitting in his car on Westland Street when the bullets rang out. Shot 3 times, the victim managed to get back to his apartment and call for help. Just call him the bad luck bandit. Overnight, a suspect tries to get away with robbing a convenience store and a gas station. But in both cases, the clerks weren't simply going to roll over and let him get away with it. Just within the last year, communities like Wolcott and Bristol, Milford, and now Orange have all been touched by the tragedy of teenagers losing their lives on the roadways. Now Governor Rell's task force aims to address that, perhaps by bringing the age up that you're allowed to get a license and maybe even bringing in tighter curfew restrictions for nighttime driving. Reporting in New Haven, Tom Lewis, NBC 30 News.